It sounds like there's some controversy involving Blake Lively and Megyn Kelly, but I haven't seen any major reports about this. Do you have a source or more?
I will happily participate in releasing any further leaks that they have because the truth should be out there. What does she have to fear if she's telling the truth?
But you can rest assured that based on the investigation we've done, the text messages we have, the receipts that'll go along with that complaint, she's dead in the water.
More details? I can help break it down and fact check if needed. Interview 010. I haven't seen any credible news sources reporting on this. If you have a source,
Blake Lively was no victim here. She was in control, she was in power, and she took over this film.
I can help analyze it to see what's really going on. There's a lot of misinformation online, so it's always good to fact check before jumping to conclusions.
She was such a brat that she wanted to control every scene, wanted to see all the dailies, wanted to do her own cut and did her own cut of the movie. All this is very unusual for just an actress in the film, even if she's the lead, and that she's now tried to turn this whole thing into a PR victory for her to get past what appears to be the fact that she is an egotistical.
Let me know how I can help. Interview 042. I haven't seen any credible reports on these claims. If you have a source, I'd be happy to help verify the information. A lot of rumors spread quickly online, so it's always good to fact check before believing or sharing them. Let me know how I can help. Interview 058. As we can see now, this situation goes far beyond just a simple lawsuit. It appears that Blake had a calculated and sinister master plan right from the very beginning. By now, we're all aware that Blake Lively has taken legal action against Justin, accusing him of orchestrating a smear campaign against her. But in a dramatic twist, Justin has fired back with his own lawsuit, claiming that Blake is the one who launched a smear campaign against him. It seems Blake had a devious plan right from the very start. And now, as more details come to light, we're realizing,
as often happens when these stars drop a movie, people start digging around for other interviews of them, etc. And it was just sort of a course of, wow, like, she seems like kind of a jerk. Wow, she's like kind of a bully. She's rather mean.
That this entire situation didn't just explode overnight. It had been brewing for a long time before it became a full-blown public feud. It all traces back to when Blake's reputation took a massive hit, going up in flames under the weight of public condemnation. And no, despite what she claims, this had absolutely nothing to do with Justin Baldoni. The real reason? Her own entitled, "Little Miss Me" attitude that had already started turning fans against her. Interview 219. So, in a desperate attempt to save her public image, Blake jumped straight onto the defensive, pointing fingers at Justin and his PR team, accusing them of planting negative stories about her. And as part of her "Please Love Me Again" strategy, she did a carefully curated New York Times piece, shifting all the attention away from herself and onto Justin, painting him as the real villain while positioning herself as the helpless victim. Only problem? There's now concrete proof that the New York Times manipulated text messages, strategically leaving out crucial details to deliberately portray Justin in the worst possible light. They literally moved texts around, rearranged words, and even played with emojis just to make it all sound way worse.
But he would, so he'd suddenly start filming my hands or my feet. But what was interesting is that to him in that moment, my hands were telling so much more of the story than my face. And I had to be so much more, it was sort of chicken or the egg. I don't know if I was more alive and awake as an actor because every part of me was up for grabs while he's filming. My mom will call 7 times in a row. She's that person. She's the one who thinks that like on time 6 you just like didn't see that she was calling, so she's just gonna keep calling.
Worse than it actually was. But hold up, doesn't this sound a little too familiar? It's almost as if we've seen this exact script play out before. Because let's be real, Blake is turning herself into the new Amber Heard, while Justin is being pushed into the new Johnny Depp role. Remember how Amber Heard did the exact same thing to Johnny Depp back in 2000?
This movie is going to affect people and they're going to want to tell you about their lives. So if someone understands the themes of this movie, comes across you in public, and they want to really talk to you, what's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this? How would you recommend they go about it?
Like asking for like my address or my phone number or like my location share. Or I could just location share you and then we could
2018 with that infamous Sun article? She painted him as a monster, played the victim, and for a while, the world believed her. And guess what? Amber has even crawled out of hiding to show her support for Blake. But here's the problem. Blake just made the biggest mistake of her life by copying Amber's playbook. Because we all remember how that ended. Johnny fought back, exposed the truth, and in the end, the world saw who the real abuser was. And now, history is repeating itself. Justin is gearing up to pull a Johnny Depp on her, proving that Blake was the bully all along. That she was the one who caused harm. That she was the one who tried to destroy him. And now, he's fighting back with the truth. But you know what Blake's biggest mistake was? Underestimating her own fans. She thought we were stupid. She thought we wouldn't notice. But we see it. She claims Justin and his PR team are the ones making her look bad in interviews. Well, I'm sorry, but we all have eyes. We can see for ourselves how rude and dismissive she is in interviews. I mean, just listen to this. But he would no, so he'd suddenly start filming my hands or my feet, but what was interesting is that to him in that moment my hands were telling so much more of the story than my face, and so it really had to be so much more. It was sort of chicken or the egg. I don't know if I was more alive and awake as an actor because every part of me was up for grabs while he's filming. My mom will call 7 times in 8 rows. She's that person. She's the one who thinks that, like on time 6 you just, like. What even is that? The way she rambles, the way she dismisses people, it's all right there, in plain sight. And the more we see, the clearer it becomes. Blake's lies are crumbling. She didn't see that her mom was calling, so she just kept calling, over and over again. And honestly, that's the perfect metaphor for how Blake operates. We can see how she makes everything about herself. Like in this clip, where she was asked about her husband Ryan Reynolds, but instead of answering, she hijacked the moment to promote her hair care line. And then you turned around, and you were just as supportive of Ryan. What is that like? My hair care company, Blake Brown, my goodness precious. It's been crazy. It's been a crazy week. Seriously? The question was about Ryan, but she managed to spin it into a full-on ad for herself. And if that wasn't bad enough, we can see just how tone-deaf she is when it comes to the themes of It Ends With Us, and how little regard she seems to have for actual victims. In this interview, she was asked a very simple, very serious question. This movie is going to affect people, and they're going to want to tell you about their life, so if someone who really understands the themes of this movie comes across you in public, and they want to open up, how should they go about it? A normal person would respond with empathy, right? Maybe acknowledge the impact of the film? But Blake's response? Like asking for my address, my phone number, my location? I could just location share you, and then we could, What? Is she seriously mocking survivors? No wonder her own fans have turned against her. And just like Johnny Depp's legal team obliterated Amber Heard, Justin Baldoni's lawyers are now gearing up to crush Blake Lively into oblivion. Literally. Are you going to sue Blake Lively into oblivion? Megyn, wait till you see this lawsuit. Oh, and fun fact, Megyn Kelly's lawyer, the same lawyer representing Justin Baldoni. But let's not forget what we said at the start. This wasn't just a desperate attempt by Blake to save her own reputation. No. From the very beginning, this might have been her master plan to steal Justin Baldoni's movie from him. Because guess what? There are countless text messages between Justin and Blake, between Justin and the producers, and between Justin and the editors, proving that she was plotting this all along. She weaponized allegations of bullying and harassment, not because they were real, but because she wanted leverage. She wanted control. She wanted power. And it worked. For a while. Justin Baldoni, who, by the way, wasn't just the lead actor in the film, but also the writer and director, was completely blindsided when he found out that Blake had secretly made her own cut of the movie. And the worst part? No one was allowed to see it. For an executive producer to have a competing cut of a film, that's unheard of. But then, when she started threatening people, saying things like, and let's not forget, Justin was literally forced into the basement with his friends and family during the premiere of his own movie. This could have been one of the most beautiful nights of my life, career-wise, and I was literally sent to the basement, with all my friends and family, for over an hour because I wasn't to be seen. She didn't want me anywhere near her or the rest of the cast. Let that sink in. Blake Lively was so determined to steal the spotlight that she and Ryan Reynolds specifically requested that Justin not attend his own premiere. This is just more proof that she didn't just want to be the star, she wanted to own this movie. Control it. Rewrite history to make herself the sole focus. But now, the tables are turning. And things are looking real bleak for Blake. Because Justin's lawyer is ready to unhack a whole lot of evidence against her. Documents don't lie, people do, and it's important that everyone sees all of the documents involved in this case, because there are people who have been destroyed by the lies that have been told so far. And now, without further ado, let's break down just some of the lies we now know Blake has been telling. Lie number 1, the uninvited incident. Blake accused Justin of invading her personal space, claiming that he showed up uninvited while she was undressed or with her infant baby. But guess what? Newly leaked text messages completely destroy her claim. Because as we can clearly see from Blake's own messages, she invited Justin to her trailer while she was pumping milk for her baby. Here's the proof. We should run lines together. Justin, anytime. Blake, come on over. I'm breastfeeding the baby in the trailer, but come on over. Clear as day. Not only did Blake set the boundaries herself, but Justin's response shows he wasn't even in a rush to go. But what did Blake turn this into? A false narrative, playing the victim and making it seem like he forced himself into her space. Lie number 2, the inappropriate content accusation. Blake also accused Jamie Heath, the lead producer and one of Justin Baldoni's closest friends, of showing her inappropriate and pornographic material. She described the incident as some horrific violation, but conveniently, her lawsuit left out some key details. For example, the fact that the movie's script itself included a scene that was central to the story. To be continued. The birthing scene shown to her in the video? That was footage of the producer's own wife giving birth. Why? Well, because in movies and TV, we often see births that just don't feel real. You know, it's like they show a baby coming out, and it looks like a 3-month-old instead of a newborn. It doesn't have that raw authenticity. I wanted it to feel as real as possible. The footage? It wasn't crude, it wasn't explicit. It was actually quite artistic, capturing the beautiful moment of life being brought into the world. Nothing inappropriate at all. In fact, the still shot from his wife's delivery? I've seen it myself, and there's nothing R-rated about it. It's a beautiful, tasteful photo. Then, Blake threw a huge accusation at Justin. She claimed he made cruel comments about her weight and her body, basically fat-shaming her. Things escalated to the point where Ryan Reynolds had to step in and summon Justin to his penthouse. There, Ryan reportedly gave him a stern talking to. But Blake didn't stop at involving her husband. She apparently even used Taylor Swift to manipulate and berate Justin in leaked messages. She went as far as telling him that she was the great Khaleesi from Game of Thrones, and that Ryan and Taylor were her dragons. Just listen to how cringe it really sounds when Mac and Kelly break it down. Blake's texts, "We should run lines together." Justin's reply, "Anytime." Blake's response, "Come on over, I'm feeding the baby in the trailer, but come on over." It's right there in black and white, she invited him in. And honestly, many women are fine having someone around when they're breastfeeding. It's not all that unusual in Hollywood. So, for Justin to assume she was okay with it, he probably thought so because she let him in. Ryan Reynolds? Well, after all this, he doesn't come off looking great. He had them over to his penthouse in New York, and it's even rumored that Taylor Swift was there at the time. According to this latest complaint, it was way outside the boundaries of what an actress would consider normal behavior. After all that, Blake even messaged Justin saying, "You may not have watched Game of Thrones, but when you do, you'll realize I'm the Khaleesi, and these are my dragons. I have the best dragons, Ryan and Taylor." Now, maybe Blake didn't watch Game of Thrones to the end, because if I remember correctly, things didn't exactly go well for Khaleesi, did they? But I have to say, comparing herself to Khaleesi, that's one of the wildest cases of a self-fulfilling prophecy I've ever seen. Everyone's mocking her for it, but honestly, what's more Khaleesi than being a once-loved public figure who seemed destined to win everything, and then lost it all in a fiery, dramatic way? It's giving Twin Peaks. She's not wrong. And just like in Game of Thrones, those dragons didn't save her in the end, did they? Moving on, Justin did something else that got under Blake's skin. He asked his personal trainer, "How much does Blake weigh?" Of course, Blake got wind of this and blew it way out of proportion once again. At this point, it's becoming clear, there's a pattern of taking things out of context, making them seem way worse than they are. So, regarding the whole Blake's weight situation, let's clear this up. Justin, as we know, suffers from severe back issues. In the film, there was a scripted scene where he was supposed to lift Blake up. That made it absolutely crucial for him to know her weight, simply to ensure that he didn't hurt himself, or even worse, hurt Blake. It wasn't about fat shaming, it was about safety. He needed to know her weight to do the scene properly and avoid any injuries. But what makes Blake's accusations even more absurd are the leaked messages between her and Justin. These messages actually showed just how supportive Justin was when Blake was concerned about her body image after giving birth. In one of the messages, Justin reassured her, proving he was there for her, not body-shaming her as she claimed. Another headline-making accusation was that there was no intimacy coordinator on set. Now, for those who might not know, an intimacy coordinator is there to ensure that all intimate scenes are properly managed, and that consent is respected. They help facilitate safe filming of any intimate moments. According to Blake's lawsuit, she claims there was no intimacy coordinator, and that Justin allegedly improvised physical intimacy that wasn't rehearsed or discussed with her. However, here's the kicker, Blake's own words contradict her lawsuit. In an interview, she actually admitted that they did hire an intimacy coordinator. So, which is it? Did they have one, or didn't they? And if you're still on the fence, check out these actual text messages between Blake and Justin. It doesn't seem like Blake was all that worried about whether there was an intimacy coordinator on set. In fact, Blake even took control of their intimate scenes, way before she decided to sue. Justin has praised her for how she handled those scenes, saying, "There were plenty of instances where I honestly tried to get out of the way and let her take the lead. She had a very clear vision for what worked and what was sexy, honestly. I stepped back and just let the women figure it out." So Blake's claims are starting to fall apart when you look at all the facts. Not only does this paint Justin in a different light, but it also raises some serious questions about the credibility of Blake's accusations. When it comes to those intimate scenes, even as a director, Justin was clearly following Blake's lead. In fact, there's a moment on camera where Blake is clearly directing Justin, showing him exactly how to pull her in and perform a kissing scene. If you look at their body language, it's obvious that Blake is in control, and Justin's just along for the ride. But here's the real kicker. In her lawsuit, Blake referenced one specific scene, and oh boy, let's break this down point by point, because almost every single one of her claims completely backfired. First, on one occasion, Justin and Blake were filming a slow dance scene for a montage. No sound was recorded. Second, Mr. Baldoni decided to let the camera roll, but instead of staying in character, he spoke to Blake out of character as himself. Third, at one point, he leaned forward, dragging his lips from her ear down her neck while saying, "It smells so good." Blake claimed there was no sound in that scene, which helped her manipulate the situation and twist what really happened. But, sorry Blake, once again Justin's lawyer released the actual footage, and guess what? It had sound. And once again it proves that Blake was stretching the truth, yet again. Go ahead and watch the original video for yourself. Does Justin really come across like an absolute monster, hovering over Blake at every turn? Or does it look more like Blake tried to play the victim and it backfired on her? What's more, Blake was also acting out of character in the scene, not just Justin. In fact, they were even talking about their spouses at one point, so it was hardly uncomfortable or inappropriate. And that, "it smells so good" moment? Honestly, when you watch it, it's way more innocent than Blake made it out to be. It's not what she made it seem at all. Here's just a few seconds of the original footage. Watch and judge for yourself. But here's another curveball, Blake's lawsuit said, and I quote, "Nothing needed to be said because again, there was no sound." Oops, Blake, wasn't it you who told Justin in the scene that they should talk, despite the music playing in the background? Now, with all this evidence surfacing, the plot thickens. Blake is now trying to hit Justin Baldoni and his lawyer with a gag order to stop them from publishing any more text messages or evidence that could work against her. Heaven forbid Justin actually defend himself. But here's the ultimate kicker. After Blake had her shot to publicly tear Justin down with that New York Times piece, leaking this complaint, now she wants a complete gag order. She doesn't want Justin to be able to release any snippets to the media, but she did exactly that. So, what do you guys think about all this madness? Has Blake been lying this whole time and playing the victim, with her supposed evidence now blowing up in her face thanks to Justin Baldoni and Megyn Kelly's lawyer? Or is there some truth to her claims, and is she really the victim here? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe and notification button to stay updated. Make sure you check out more of our videos, as we keep covering the hottest celebrity news.